My name is Olivia Hartman. Despite not coming from a wealthy family, I grew up in a loving and modest household. My mom worked part-time as a librarian, while my dad built his career as a financial consultant. Being surrounded by my parents gave me immense strength. My heart swelled with gratitude every time I witnessed my family supporting one another through thick and thin. I became fascinated with stock trading in high school, inspired by my father's passion for finance. With barely any capital to start with, I nervously invested $3,000 that I'd meticulously saved from my weekend job at the local cafe. My close friends raised their eyebrows at my decision to dive into stocks at 17. With my unremarkable grades and zero athletic abilities to speak of, the world of investment became my sanctuary, a place where I finally felt alive and engaged. Aiden, a classmate, clearly resented my modest success though. Word around school was that Aiden's father held an executive position at a prestigious bank, unlike my dad's small consulting practice. Raised with silver spoons and premium credit cards, Aiden carried himself with an unbearable air of entitlement that made my skin crawl. His eyes would drift over me with thinly veiled contempt, his chin perpetually tilted upward. He considered himself the center of the universe, so naturally, he couldn't stand that I was getting attention for something he believed was exclusively a man's domain. His toxic attitude became crystal clear through our online interactions. I was scrolling through Instagram during lunch break when a notification from Aiden popped up on my screen. "What are you posting about now, Olivia? Trying to show off your pathetic little stock portfolio again?" His message dripped with condescension, accompanied by an eye-rolling emoji. My fingers hovered over the keyboard while I collected my thoughts, determined not to let him see me rattled. "Just sharing thoughts about a show I watched last night. Nothing special. Is there a problem with that?" Aiden, visibly frustrated by my composed response, doubled down with his insulting comments. "You're such a liar. I can practically smell the desperation from here. Why are you even bothering with stocks at our age? Focus on something that suits you better, like literally anything else." Every word he typed reeked of superiority. Day after day, I had to endure his toxic presence in my notifications. He seemed to thrive on stirring drama and forcing his opinions on everyone. I maintained my cool and refused to give him the satisfaction of seeing me upset. Wasting my emotional energy on someone like him felt pointless and draining. Perhaps that's exactly why Aiden wouldn't leave me alone. "What exactly do you consider more suitable pursuits?" I asked calmly, refusing to take his bait. "Well, something that actually showcases human excellence. Like the calculus test next week, let's see who scores higher." "Fine by me. But what happens if you lose?" My heart raced as I typed this challenge. "There's zero chance I'd lose to a girl like you, but in that impossible scenario, I'll do whatever you want," he replied with unearned confidence that made my blood boil. In the end, Aiden crushed me in the test. While I was balancing stock research and hanging out with friends who actually respected me, Aiden had been holed up with private tutors every evening. I forced a smile, congratulated him on his victory, and quickly returned to my supportive friend group. Aiden's incessant bragging about his perfect score washed over me like white noise. I genuinely couldn't care less. Aiden constantly flaunted his material possessions, posting selfies with his expensive sneakers and latest tech gadgets to assert his dominance. By then, though, I had quietly earned enough from my investments to afford those things whenever I wanted, making his peacocking seem hollow and desperate to me. I tried my best to avoid his toxic presence online and in real life. Yet he refused to be ignored, becoming increasingly aggressive with his comments on my posts and harassing my friends. His provocations escalated daily, making my stomach knot whenever I saw his name pop up on my screen. So when graduation finally arrived, while saying goodbye to my real friends brought tears to my eyes, the overwhelming relief of escaping Aiden's shadow felt like taking my first full breath in years. After high school, I headed to college to pursue economics with a minor in statistics. I wasn't entirely sure what career path I'd follow, but I knew in my heart that investments would remain central to my life, so I eagerly anticipated expanding my knowledge base. As I'd hoped, My college economics courses dramatically transformed my perspective as an investor. My hands would tremble with excitement as I connected the dots between macroeconomic theories and real-world market movements. Understanding how interest rates, policy decisions, and global events rippled through markets and businesses empowered me to make sharper, more intuitive investment choices. The specialized finance and investment theory classes felt like unlocking secret levels in a game I'd been playing for years. For someone like me who naturally gravitated toward high-risk positions, discovering the mathematical beauty of risk hedging strategies felt like finding a missing puzzle piece I never knew I needed. Through countless late nights analyzing historical market data and investor psychology patterns, I developed my own analytical framework for identifying market trends and volatility triggers. My stomach would flutter with anticipation each time my predictions aligned with actual market movements. This knowledge wasn't just theoretical, it was becoming my superpower. During these formative years, I joined the campus investment club, which became my second home. For me, this club was the true hidden gem of the university. In our vibrant discussions, we'd passionately debate market trends and investment approaches, often punctuating serious analysis with much-needed laughter. I've been experimenting with technical analysis lately, using moving averages and Bollinger Bands to predict market directions, I shared one evening, my fingers quickly pulling up charts on my laptop. It's incredibly satisfying to spot those pattern shifts and support levels before they become obvious. Meredith, an accounting major with a sharp mind for details, leaned forward. Technical analysis definitely has its merits for timing entries and exits, but don't get so caught up in the charts that you neglect what's happening inside the companies. Exactly, Tyler chimed in, pushing his glasses up his nose. Analyzing fundamental factors like balance sheet strength, management competence, and industry positioning gives you the true value of a stock. That's why I consider myself primarily a fundamentals investor. Justin, always the practical one, added, I'm finding the sweet spot is combining both approaches. Let fundamentals tell you what to buy, and technicals when to buy it. I'd jump back in with my own evolving philosophy, my cheeks flushed with the thrill of intellectual exchange. These conversations energized me in ways nothing else could. The shared passion, the respectful challenges to my thinking, the collective growth. No wonder those 4 years of college vanished in what felt like mere moments. During my college years, there was one significant event that had nothing to do with academics: Tyler's 24th birthday party. I rarely attended large social gatherings, preferring the comfortable bubble of my investment club friends, but Tyler had been instrumental in helping me set up my anonymous blog, so I couldn't decline his invitation. As I approached the trendy downtown bar, my stomach tightened with anxiety. The venue pulsed with music and laughter as I entered, scanning the room for familiar faces. Spotting Tyler and our mutual friends, my shoulders relaxed slightly. The warm hugs and genuine smiles from people I hadn't seen in months filled me with an unexpected sense of belonging. This is surreal, Meredith said, raising her glass. We've all come so far from those study sessions in the library basement, haven't we? Hey Olivia, are you still obsessed with the stock market? My eyes lit up at the mention of my passion. Absolutely. I've been at it since high school, though the scale has definitely changed. How much are you managing these days? Justin asked between sips of his craft beer. I hesitated, then decided to trust my inner circle. Well, I started with that 3,000, but now it's... I lowered my voice, over $1 million. Holy shit. For real? Justin nearly spilled his drink. Hey, everyone. Listen up. Olivia is... I grabbed his arm, my heart racing. Please don't. I keep my investing life private for a reason. The last thing I want is to become that rich investment girl to everyone here. But why? Meredith looked puzzled. You could leverage that success. Seriously, guys would be lining up to date you. That's exactly what makes my skin crawl, I confessed, feeling my cheeks flush. I want people in my life because they value me, not my portfolio. I'd rather be underestimated any day. You haven't changed a bit, Tyler laughed, shaking his head. Just then, I felt a chill run down my spine as a hauntingly familiar voice cut through the music. Olivia Hartman. No way. My stomach dropped as I turned to see Aiden Bradshaw, his designer watch catching the light as he waved. His voice carried the same condescending tone that had tormented me throughout high school. Aiden, I acknowledged with a forced smile, my fingers tightening around my glass. What a surprise. Aiden had been my high school nemesis, constantly belittling my interest in investing and undermining my confidence online. The audacity of his friendly approach now, as if our past didn't exist, made my blood simmer beneath my composed exterior. It's been forever, he exclaimed, casually checking his reflection in the bar mirror. So, what's happening with you these days, Olivia? I carefully constructed my response. Just finishing up at State while working part-time at a coffee shop. Nothing exciting. Seriously? With your economic obsession, I figured you'd be somewhere better. His smile didn't reach his eyes. I guess that means you're not exactly rolling in cash, huh? The condescension in his voice was unmistakable, but I maintained my calm facade. Just making enough to pay rent and enjoy the occasional night out, I replied with a shrug. What about you? What's been happening since graduation? I couldn't care less, but social norms demanded this exchange of pleasantries. Me? I'm crushing it, he boasted, scrolling through his phone to show me photos. Captain of the university tennis team, landed an amazing girlfriend, she's in these pictures, see? A fashion influencer with over 50K followers. Life's pretty sweet. What about you, Olivia? Dating anyone? Oh wait, probably not, right? He smirked. I bit the inside of my cheek. No one special at the moment. The truth was I'd dated several interesting people since starting college, but sharing my personal life with Aiden felt like throwing pearls before swine. That's rough, he said with mock sympathy. Hey, I know some guys who might take pity on you. So, career plans? Or are you still figuring that out too? I'm keeping my options open, I replied vaguely. Maybe I'll stick with barista work for a while. Tyler shot me a questioning look from across the table, but I subtly shook my head. Wow, that's sad, Aiden's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. If I were you, I'd be pretty depressed about my prospects. But hey, I've already secured a position at my father's bank, so I'm set for life. That's really impressive, I said, my voice dripping with false admiration. You're so lucky. Maybe someday I'll be fortunate enough to serve you coffee at my shop. With that, I excused myself and retreated to my friend's table. From across the room, I could see Aiden's smug expression as he turned to flaunt his expensive watch to another group. This meaningless encounter confirmed that some people never change. The rest of Tyler's birthday celebration was tainted by Aiden's presence, a dark cloud hovering over what should have been a carefree evening. Back in college, my frustration after the encounter with Aiden ignited an even deeper passion for investing. My heart raced with determination every time I opened my trading platform. Between lectures and investment club meetings, I obsessively tracked market patterns and hunted for overlooked opportunities. My hands would tremble with excitement when spotting patterns in data that others missed, developing a statistics-based algorithm that identified promising stocks before they appeared on most investors' radars. The breakthrough came when I discovered a small biotech firm developing revolutionary cancer treatment technology. After 3 sleepless nights analyzing their research papers, patent applications, and leadership team backgrounds, I poured a substantial portion of my portfolio into their stock before the mainstream financial media caught on. Within months, clinical trial results exceeded expectations, and the stock price quadrupled. I remember staring at my screen, heart pounding, as my net worth grew by 6 figures in a single day. The biotech sector has been on fire lately, Olivia. Any specific companies catching your attention? Meredith asked during one of our last investment club meetings. My eyes lit up with barely contained excitement. I've been watching this emerging cancer treatment technology that's completely disrupting traditional approaches. Their proprietary method targets cancer cells without harming healthy tissue. I invested early after analyzing their research data, and it's paid off beyond my expectations, I explained, as my friends leaned in, captivated by my enthusiasm. That's brilliant insight, Tyler nodded appreciatively. So the real edge comes from understanding the technology itself, not just the financials. I can't believe I missed that opportunity, Justin sighed, scrolling through the stock's meteoric rise on his phone. Remember though, I cautioned, feeling the weight of responsibility in sharing investment advice, breakthrough technologies often experience extreme volatility. One negative trial result could trigger a massive sell-off. My friends thoughtfully absorbed this warning as our discussion expanded into risk management strategies. These exchanges of ideas became the blueprint for my anonymous blog, The Rational Investor, which I launched just before graduation. By commencement day, my portfolio had grown to over $4 million. This financial cushion gave me a sense of security most 22-year-olds couldn't imagine, though I kept this reality closely guarded. Ironically, a significant portion of my assets sat in accounts with the prestigious bank where Aiden had secured his position through family connections. The thought of my money being handled at his workplace made me cringe, but their institutional stability and superior global transaction capabilities made them the logical choice for my growing portfolio. After receiving my diploma, I faced a decision point. Several investment firms courted me based on my academic performance, unaware of my personal trading success. However, accepting these offers would mean severe restrictions on my personal trading activities. After weighing my options, I chose independence, becoming a full-time investor and launching my blog as a creative outlet for my financial insights. My days took on an exhilarating rhythm, waking before dawn to analyze Asian market closings, developing trading algorithms during market hours, and researching emerging technologies into the night. Combining technical day trading with long-term fundamental investments, my portfolio continued its upward trajectory. By 28, my total assets had grown to just over $20 million, a figure that sometimes seemed surreal even to me. But success didn't follow a straight line. On my 26th birthday, disaster struck when a major tech sell-off coincided with a biotech regulatory announcement that demolished several of my key holdings. In 3 brutal days, my portfolio shrank by 40%. My stomach churned with nausea as I watched years of gains evaporate. The contrast between my earlier triumphs and this sudden reversal left me gasping for air, questioning every strategy and decision. During those dark weeks, I battled crushing anxiety and relentless self-doubt. Sleepless nights became my new normal as I obsessively reviewed data, searching for answers. But beneath the fear burned a resolute determination. This wasn't just about money, it was about proving to myself that I could overcome adversity without family connections or institutional safety nets. I channeled my anxiety into action, conducting exhaustive market analyses and completely rebuilding my investment framework. My blog posts became more vulnerable, sharing both the strategies and the emotional challenges of navigating market downturns. Surprisingly, this authenticity tripled my readership. The recovery proved painfully slow, testing my patience and resilience daily. But gradually, methodically, my revamped approach began showing results. When the Federal Reserve announced unexpected policy support for struggling sectors, my carefully positioned portfolio captured the upswing magnified several times over. In a stunning reversal, the year following my greatest loss became my most profitable ever, propelling my assets to new heights and cementing my confidence in my abilities to weather any market storm. One evening while reviewing market data in my apartment, my phone pinged with an unexpected notification. A digital invitation had arrived in my inbox, its elaborate animation screaming extravagance before I even read the contents. My breath caught as I saw Aiden Bradshaw's name prominently displayed alongside his fiancée Caitlin's. It was an invitation to their combined high school reunion and engagement celebration at the Bellevue Hotel's Grand Ballroom. My finger hovered over the delete button, but something stopped me. A whirlwind of conflicting emotions surged through my chest, curiosity, resentment, and an inexplicable pull to witness this chapter of Aiden's life. The invitation boasted that the event would be live-streamed on social media, with professional photographers and several minor influencers in attendance. Of course, Aiden would turn even a reunion into a status exhibition. I immediately video called Tyler for advice. "Hey, you won't believe what just landed in my inbox," I said, holding up my phone to show the gaudy invitation. A reunion/engagement party for Aiden and Caitlin. "Did you get invited too?" "No way," Tyler replied, his eyebrows shooting up in surprise. "That's strange he'd invite you, considering your history. Maybe he's turned over a new leaf?" I snorted, running my fingers through my hair nervously. If he genuinely liked me, he wouldn't have been tagging me in those passive-aggressive posts about failed female investors last month. "You think he wants you there as some kind of trophy guest?" "Look, everyone, even my former rivals are here to celebrate me," Tyler suggested. My stomach tightened at the thought. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. The whole thing feels like an elaborate trap. "You might be overthinking this," Tyler said gently. "Just go, keep a low profile, reconnect with other classmates. If Aiden pulls anything weird, you can always make an excuse and leave early." "I guess you're right," I sighed, massaging my temples. It would be petty to decline an invitation to what's essentially a celebration. Plus, I am curious about how everyone else turned out. After ending the call, I stared at the RSVP button, unease still churning in my stomach. The prospect of Aiden's attention turning to me during the event filled me with dread. My finger trembled slightly as I finally tapped accept and chose the will attend option. Over the next week, my apprehension grew steadily. I even scheduled a call with Linda Morrison, my banking contact, who had become something of a mentor over the years. "I can't believe I'm actually anxious about a party," I confessed to Linda. "It feels like I'm 17 again, worrying about what Aiden might say or do." "Sometimes the people who bullied us have a unique power to reactivate old insecurities," Linda replied thoughtfully. "Ask yourself what's the worst that could happen, and whether you're strong enough to handle it now." Her words resonated with me. I was no longer that vulnerable teenager. I was a successful woman who had weathered market crashes and built something meaningful. Yet the thought of facing Aiden again sent uncomfortable ripples through my usually calm demeanor. As the date approached, I vacillated between cool confidence and nagging doubt. Perhaps Aiden had matured and reflected on his past behavior. People can change, after all. But my intuition whispered otherwise. The ostentatious invitation, the social media countdown he'd been posting, the thinly veiled status updates about gathering all tiers of successful people, everything suggested Aiden Bradshaw was very much the same person who had tormented me years ago. These conflicting feelings of curiosity and dread accompanied me as I selected my outfit, understated yet elegant, and prepared to face my past once again. Whatever Aiden's motivations for inviting me, I was determined to maintain my composure and dignity throughout the evening. My worst fears materialized almost immediately. The Bellevue Hotel's opulent ballroom was decked out like a celebrity wedding rather than a class reunion, with professional lighting, photographers circling like sharks, and a dedicated area for social media live streaming. Aiden was just as insufferable as ever, his designer suit, perfectly coiffed hair, and artificially whitened smile couldn't mask the same old arrogance radiating from him. At the elegantly decorated round table with former classmates, I found myself surrounded by strangers who seemed to be part of Aiden's current social circle rather than genuine high school friends. No one from my trusted group was present. Though some made polite attempts at conversation, their tight-knit dynamic made me feel like an outsider. I picked at my gourmet appetizer and sipped champagne mechanically, a knot forming in my stomach. During the cocktail hour, I noticed Aiden approaching our table, phone in hand as if recording for his Instagram story. He locked eyes with me, his smile not reaching his eyes as he topped off everyone's champagne flutes. Well, Olivia Hartman actually showed up," he announced, his voice dripping with condescension. My chest tightened with confusion. "You sent me an invitation, didn't you?" "Of course I did," he smirked, gesturing expansively. "I wanted my guests to meet you." "Your guests?" I asked, feeling increasingly uneasy. "Everyone, attention please," Aiden called out, tapping his glass with a spoon while his fiancée Caitlin activated the live stream on her phone. This is Olivia. She used to talk non-stop about stock investments in high school. Hilarious, right? Now she's just a barista. She should have invested in education and connections instead of chasing market fantasies. Aiden's cruel laughter echoed through the room as his friends offered uncomfortable chuckles. I could see the live stream comments scrolling rapidly on the nearby monitor. She's really a perfect example of misplaced confidence, he continued, practically preening for the camera. Still thinking she's special while approaching 30 with nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, I'm a rising star at Morgan Stanley with a stunning influencer fiancé. See, there are lessons everywhere. I invited Olivia as a living cautionary tale for all of you. Isn't it generous of me to provide such educational entertainment? My face burned with humiliation as I realized the true purpose of my invitation. Aiden had orchestrated this entire scene to publicly mock me as content for his social media. My hands trembled with rage beneath the table, and I fought the urge to throw my drink in his smug face and storm out. But knowing hundreds were watching the live stream, I forced myself to remain composed, unwilling to give him the satisfaction of a dramatic reaction. I managed a cool smile despite the storm raging inside me. How thoughtful of you to include me in your special day, I replied evenly. My composed response seemed to frustrate Aiden, who hovered at our table, escalating his taunts while making sure the camera captured every moment. You've probably never tasted Dom Perignon before, right? Don't gulp it down like soda, that's tacky. Finished your appetizer already? No need to wolf down food just because it's free. Should I ask the waiter to bring you extras? You must feel out of place with all these successful people. No one here is really at your level, so conversation must be challenging. Feel free to take a gift bag when you leave, though just one, okay? They're quite expensive. My nails dug into my palms as I maintained my outward calm, refusing to fuel his narrative. The cruel comments continued while I focused on breathing steadily, conscious of the live stream still running. God, you're boring, Aiden finally huffed, checking his viewer count. Not even giving me good content. Whatever, I've got your RSVP donation to our honeymoon fund anyway. You can leave now. Having someone so obviously struggling really brings down the vibe of our celebration. I had reached my breaking point. The mixture of public humiliation and thinly veiled classism was too much to bear. I gathered my purse, ready to make a dignified exit, when a confident voice cut through the tension. Olivia Hartman? Is that really you? I turned to see Linda Morrison, the bank's regional manager, approaching with a warm smile. I had consulted with her regularly due to the substantial assets I managed through their institution. Over the years, she had become both a mentor and friend, someone whose financial acumen I deeply respected. Linda's presence here was surprising but made sense. Aiden worked at the same bank where I kept significant investments, and Linda was his superior. Linda. What a wonderful surprise, I exclaimed with genuine relief. I had no idea you'd be here tonight. So Aiden reports to you at the bank? Are you here in a professional capacity? I'm his direct supervisor, Linda confirmed, her elegant gray suit contrasting with the flashier attire around us. I've been overseeing his department since he joined through the graduate program. Caitlin also works in our marketing division. I wouldn't call myself their matchmaker, but I've known them both professionally for years, so I received an invitation. You know Olivia? Aiden cut in, clearly stunned by our easy rapport. His eyes darted between us as the live stream continued to roll. Know her? Linda's professional smile remained intact, but her eyes cooled considerably. We've been working together for nearly 5 years. I'm surprised, Aiden, I had no idea you and Olivia were acquainted. Though I'm certain you've never handled any of her accounts at our institution. Aiden's brow furrowed in confusion, the camera in Caitlin's hand still capturing every moment. Handled her accounts? We're not professional connections, we were in high school together. And it's honestly embarrassing seeing someone our age serving coffee for tips, he said with a nervous laugh, glancing at the live stream comments. But how would someone in your position know a barista? Linda's expression shifted from professional courtesy to genuine displeasure. The temperature in our corner of the ballroom seemed to drop several degrees as she fixed Aiden with a penetrating stare. A barista? What exactly are you talking about? And referring to any profession as embarrassing? Is this the attitude you bring to client interactions at our bank? Her voice carried a steely edge that made several heads turn. Deep lines formed between Linda's brows as she assessed Aiden with the scrutiny she typically reserved for problematic investment proposals. Under her unwavering gaze, Aiden's confident posture began to crumble. Well, you know, he stammered, gesturing vaguely toward me. She used to pretend to be some kind of stock market genius in high school, but now she's just making lattes. Isn't that kind of a failure trajectory? I'm struggling to comprehend what you're saying, Linda replied, her voice dropping to a dangerous calm. Olivia Hartman is a highly successful independent investor. She's among our bank's most valued private clients, with holdings that would astonish you. The exact figures are confidential, of course, but if Ms. Hartman were to relocate her portfolio, it would create a noticeable impact on our quarterly numbers. Do you understand what I'm telling you? The color drained from Aiden's face as he processed Linda's words. His eyes widened in disbelief, and the phone in Caitlin's hand wavered. That's impossible, he blurted, his voice cracking. The moment had arrived where continuing my charade seemed pointless. While I'd always preferred keeping my financial success private, the situation demanded clarity. Moreover, after enduring years of Aiden's condescension, something inside me snapped. It was time he faced reality. I'm afraid it's true, Aiden, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I've allowed you to believe I was a coffee shop employee, but that was misdirection. I've been a full-time investor since graduation. My portfolio analysis blog has over 200,000 subscribers, and last month I was profiled in Financial Strategies magazine as one of the top independent investors under 30. Didn't you see it? This is some elaborate joke, right? Aiden laughed nervously, looking to Caitlin for support. You're all pranking me on my special night. Well played. His tight smile faltered as Linda's expression remained deadly serious. It's no joke, I continued calmly. I've maintained my privacy for personal reasons, but I suppose there's no harm in showing you now. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and displayed the portfolio summary screen to Aiden. The 7-figure number glowed on the display, with his bank's logo prominently featured at the top. As he registered the amount, Aiden's expression transformed. His face paled dramatically, creating a ghostly contrast with his black designer suit. His hands trembled visibly as he tried to form words. That can't be, how did you? I believe there's been a significant misunderstanding, Linda interjected, her gaze boring into Aiden. Olivia is considerably more accomplished than you've assumed. More concerning is your apparent behavior toward her. Have there been other incidents like what I've witnessed tonight? The question hung in the air as Aiden struggled to respond, mumbling incoherently. It seems you have. Do you now comprehend how accomplished Olivia is as an investor and how utterly inappropriate your behavior has been? Linda's voice was measured but left no room for argument. Aiden replied with barely audible defeat, yes. Then I suggest you apologize immediately, Linda continued, her professional demeanor masking what I sensed was genuine anger. This isn't just about personal amends, your conduct reflects on our institution, Aiden. The implications hung heavily in the air. Aiden's shoulders slumped as he turned to me, acutely aware that his live stream was still broadcasting his humiliation to hundreds of viewers. Olivia, I'm sorry for everything I've said and done. Please don't move your investments from our bank. His voice cracked with panic. Don't worry about that, I replied with the calm that comes from years of navigating volatile markets. Managing emotions is practically my profession. And I must admit, the champagne selection tonight is excellent. My response seemed to provide Aiden some relief, but I wasn't finished. This isn't just about tonight, Aiden. You need to seriously reconsider how you treat people moving forward. That superiority complex of yours isn't just unpleasant, it's blinding you to reality. You might lose something far more valuable than a premium client one day. Perhaps you already have. My eyes briefly flickered to Caitlin, whose expression had shifted from embarrassment to something more contemplative as she lowered her phone, finally ending the live stream. Aiden gave a slight, chastened nod before excusing himself to attend to other guests. As he moved away, his usual confident stride was noticeably diminished, his expression somber, hardly befitting his carefully orchestrated celebration. "I never imagined Aiden would publicly humiliate you like that," Linda said once he was out of earshot, genuine concern in her voice. "He's digging his own grave professionally," I observed. "Well, I suppose your barista cover made his assumption somewhat understandable," Linda noted. I shrugged. It's still a massive failure of perception. Understanding people beyond surface impressions is a basic professional skill, isn't it? Indeed, Linda agreed. His position was largely secured through his father's connections, and tonight has certainly exposed his lack of depth. I believe some significant professional development is in order. Perhaps transferring him to our Buffalo branch would provide valuable perspective, Linda mused, swirling her champagne thoughtfully. That sounds perfectly reasonable, I laughed, clinking my glass against hers. As the evening continued, our conversation shifted to more stimulating territory, emerging market opportunities, sustainable investment strategies, and the potential impact of new financial regulations. The animated discussion reminded me why I found the investment world so captivating. It was a realm where substance truly mattered. I politely declined Caitlin's surprisingly warm invitation to the afterparty, choosing instead to order a rideshare home. As my car navigated through Manhattan's glittering nightscape, a profound sense of calm washed over me. The city lights reflected on the window mirrored the flickering emotions within me, satisfaction, vindication, yet also a strange emptiness. Nestled on my apartment balcony overlooking the twinkling cityscape, I found myself in a reflective mood. At 28, I'd achieved financial success beyond what most people dream of, yet tonight had forced me to confront certain realities about my life choices. Many of my former classmates were getting married, starting families, or pursuing traditional career paths. It wasn't that I lacked romantic experiences. Since college, I'd dated several interesting, accomplished people, a tech entrepreneur, a travel journalist, a fellow investor. But these relationships inevitably took a back seat to my true passion. The market was more demanding than any partner I'd encountered, impossible to fully understand, yet absolutely thrilling when things aligned. I'd fallen hopelessly in love with the complex dance of numbers, patterns, and human psychology that constituted successful investing. Opening my laptop, I noticed a video call request from my parents. Their faces appeared on screen, my father's reading glasses perched on his nose, my mother's kind eyes crinkling as she smiled. "There's our investment genius," Dad exclaimed. "How was the party, sweetheart?" "Let's just say it was educational," I replied with a wry smile. "For everyone involved. You know, your father's heart medication got approved for insurance coverage today," Mom interjected, squeezing Dad's hand. "Such a relief." "That's wonderful news," I said, making a mental note to increase my anonymous contribution to their retirement fund. "You know what would be even better news?" Dad hinted with his typical subtlety. "A grandchild to bounce on my knee before these old joints give out completely." "Simon," Mom scolded, but her eyes revealed she shared the sentiment. After the call ended, I opened a new document and began outlining an idea that had been forming throughout the evening, a financial education platform specifically designed for young women entering the investment world. Something that could help others avoid the prejudice and dismissal I'd experienced. My brother Noah's text dinged. Dad just called raving about some party showdown. "You finally revealed your secret identity to the high school villains?" I smiled, typing back, something like that. "How's the art installation coming? Still need that equipment we talked about?" His reply was instant, desperately. "But it's too expensive." "Consider it handled," I responded. "I believe in your vision." Turning back to the city view, I contemplated the strange duality of my existence. Financially free yet constrained by secrets. Professionally fulfilled yet personally questioning. The market had been my constant companion, more reliable than any relationship I'd pursued. Yet perhaps it was time to diversify my personal portfolio as carefully as I managed my financial one. My father's wish for grandchildren, while stereotypical, touched something real within me, a desire for connection beyond algorithms and asset allocations. I laughed softly to myself, recognizing the irony. Finding a partner who understood both my public simplicity and private complexity wouldn't be easy. But then again, the most valuable investments rarely were. The night breeze carried the distant sounds of the city as I opened my email to find a message from a scholarship recipient I'd anonymously supported years ago, now graduating with honors in finance. To my unknown benefactor, it began, "You changed my life, and someday I hope to do the same for others." With renewed purpose, I closed my laptop and gazed at the stars barely visible above the city lights. The path ahead contained unknowns that no algorithm could predict, but I felt ready to embrace them. With the same courage I'd used to place my first trade at 17, I made a silent promise to invest not just in markets, but in the relationships and experiences that would truly enrich my life.